dedicate my time. So today I will do with comparative Indian literature in English translation, the background studies. So I hope all of you might be having the syllabus or study material with you so that it will be easy for all of you to understand. And basically, Indian literature and the history of Indian literature is of a myriad color. It's not one literature. It's the sum total of different literature written in various languages. As you know, India is a country of diversity, unity in diversity. So we will do that in this background studies. And the objectives of this study is that to know the methodology and to know the style and how the writers of regional languages of English, regional languages of India have tried to give their best to certain literary creations which are translated into English for the purpose of worldwide popularity. The comparative literature is basically an attempt to spread the ideology, the culture, the subculture, the social customs, and the linguistic ability, the style of one particular language or literature, which is translated in once into English, will go to the world. So, to popularize Indian literature, this translation is very essential. And in the background study, we will do the concept of Indian literature. As you know, the syllabus is very vast and time is very short. So I will try to cover up almost all important details that comes in this block. The first is the concept of Indian literature. What do you know by the concept of Indian literature? What is it? What is Indian literature? What is Indian literature? I told you, Indian literature is the sum total of, or the totality, or the entirety of the literature created by various writers from different languages: Bengali, Odia, Kannada, Gujarati, Tamil, all these. They go to uh, make the greater literature, that is Indian literature. So the Indian literature is not very new; it is very antique, and from the very past, from the antique time, right from the times of the Veda or the Vedic time, it is popularized. And you know, Veda is our ancient ethics. And if you go to Ramayana and Mahabharata, there is not a single country, there is not a single language in which the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is not translated. So, this is the high class literature which India has, and it helps to know, to discover, to expose themselves to the themes, the styles, the messages, the morals of Indian writers. And that is only possible through translation. It is first it is comparison, then it is translation. So you can take down some notes when I give you the talk. I'll do of course very slowly. Whatever is important you should take down. Please note down 1-2 lines. The Indian English literature is the sum total or the totality. Please write down. The Indian English literature is the sum total or the totality of various literature written in the territory of India or within the territory of India by various writers belonging to by various writers belonging to different regional languages.
Ma'am, by various writers.
Belonging to belonging to different regional languages. I'm just taking 2 minutes. L1 or language 1 is your mother tongue. L2 is national language, that is Hindi. And A3 is now, say, foreign language in English, that is English. So when something is written in your regional language, that is your mother tongue. And if it is a great work of art, it is translated into Hindi or English in order to widespread the message in it. And that is why the quality, the style, the message, the moral should be translated in order to touch every corner of the world from different regional languages. Yes, come to that. By this, please write down. By this, we will understand that the literature written in India will understand that the literature written in India is not confined only to the geographical boundary of India. Is not confined to the geographical boundary of India. And India as a nation always initiates to expose its culture and literature, always initiates to expose its culture and literature to the world, to the world, so that it will earn popularity, influence, it will earn popularity, influence, and also widespread impact, and also widespread impact on different countries and civilizations.
Ma'am, impact on?
Impact on different countries of the world or world civilization, different countries and different civilizations. Civilizations. Can you hear me? So,
Yes,
culture
ma'am.
and literature, yes, thank you. So, listen to me. Culture and literature are closely related. If there is no rich culture, the literature cannot be rich. So, if we go back to the ethical value of the Ramayana and Mahabharata, there is not a single Indian who doesn't know this story. It may be more or less, but anybody belonging to the soil of India knows the glory of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So the Bhakti movement, which started with the creation of a Ved, has also given one impact on everybody's life, and that is the starting of Indian literature, or that is the opening of Indian culture. And if you read Indian literature, you will see that it is not one or two or three languages. There is a multidimensional facet to the approach to Indian literature. Many states write many excellent writings which are followed by other state writers, and they are translated into very many languages in order to popularize, in order to communicate, in order to spread the message, in order to make them morally aware of different things that comes in our life. So basically literature is the copy of life and society. Without a good heritage, without a good culture, a good literature cannot be produced. And so Indian literature can be defined, write down. Indian literature can be defined as wherever you are not able to write, please repeat or please ask. Oh. Indian literature can be defined as a fabric consisting of consisting of weaves from the different hands, weaves, weaves, weaves from different hands, coming from
Will
different
repeat
regions.
WA? Ma'am, WA?
Weaves, weave, weaves and weaver. Those who make handloom cloths, weaves, weaves from different
Ma'am,
hands.
can you please repeat from the fabric consisting of
Okay,
weaves?
I'm repeating. Indian literature can be defined as a fabric consisting of waves from different hands, coming from different regions, joining together almost seamlessly, to create a wonderful whole. To create a wonderful whole.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
after coming from different hands from different regions, आगे
joining together.
Ma'am, your
joining
voice
together.
is breaking. Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
My
Yes,
voice.
ma'am.
Okay, let me switch off the fan. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Joining together.
Almost seamlessly, seamlessly, to create a wonderful whole. To create a
Ma'am, whole
wonderful
as
whole.
in WHOLE, whole, to create a wonderful
Yeah,
whole.
yeah, yeah. Whole means totality, entirety, complete.
Okay,
The
ma'am.
total literature. Yes, wonderful whole. And many people don't write. Now listen. Many people think that just after the partition, India got the entity and the sole cultural identity of India came to be exposed all over the world. So partition literature became the sole source of Indianness. But actually it's not the fact. India has rich heritage, rich writings right from the time of Ramayana and Mahabharata. And in the famous book of Jawaharlal Nehru, The Discovery of India, he had said that there is not a single country which is as rich in culture as India. So that is why the cultural background, the social background, the psychological cleanliness, and the morality, they develop the unity of India, and which is not only Indian unity, it is a model. It is a model for the world. And the culture of India is unity in diversity. Those who might be knowing the political science concepts of Indian Constitution, there it is mentioned that India is a country of unity in diversity. That means there are so many discordant things, there are so many divergent things, but they stand as a whole. But here we come to the literary part of it. You know, during the beginning of writing, the Tamils and the Pathans, they became very powerful in writing. And still, it is very difficult to adjust these two. But India could accommodate them, and they became flourishing writers. So there is also another division of urban India and rural India. The urban India is high class people, and rural India are low class people, especially rustic. But if you go back to the time of William Wordsworth, in English literature, you might be having a Kitsian ode or romantic literature as a part of your syllabus. And there you will see that the rustic life is very important to be written. And the language of poetry should be very, very convenient, simple, and it should be easily understood by those uneducated rustic people of the rural area. And that is why uh, the culture of India is divided into two parts, urban India and rural India. So, India is represented in English to foreign audiences only through translation. If translation is not there, the writings of Indian writers who have improved their quality by writing rigorously on any universal concept that could not have been spread to the world. Please write down. India is represented
Ma'am,
in English.
ma'am,
Yes, yes.
ma'am,
Tell
I
me,
have a question.
Priyadarshini. Yes,
Ma'am,
please.
if a person stays outside India, but he
Yes.
wrote something about India, whether it is considered as Indian literature or not.
Of course, outside India, what is his citizenship? What is his place of birth? He is an NRI, but he is basically an Indian. So his writings are Indian writing. You know, if you go to the history of modern Indian English literature, the many writers, you take the example of many writers like V.S. Naipaul, Chetan Bhagat, and so many, they are basically staying away from India. They are in foreign. But they write about Indian culture. That is definitely Indian literature. Staying somewhere doesn't matter. That is not their place of birth. Nativity is where you are born. Okay,
Okay,
very
ma'am.
clear?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, aren't they called diasporic writers? We can call them diasporic writers also.
We will come to diaspora later, but this is the background of ethical Indian literature. We'll come to diaspora as a modern concept. You know, diaspora is a very recent development where a massive scale of migration has taken place, presenting Indian excellence outside the country. That is called diaspora. But now we are doing with basically Indian background of Indian English literature. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. People like V.S. Naipaul, they come under diasporic writers or Indian writers only, ma'am?
If you go to the history of Indian English writer, V.S. Naipaul is there. History of Indian English,
Okay,
you see, V.S. Naipaul is there. Don't consider his place of stay. Now they are considered
okay,
as
ma'am.
diasporic, but basically they are Indian English writers. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Now write down. India is represented in English to foreign audience. India is represented in English to foreign audience where Indian languages cater to only too few fellow Indians. Where Indian languages cater to only
To foreign after that?
India is represented in English to foreign audience, while Indian language, see, India and Indian language, okay, Indian languages cater to only fellow Indians. Writers like Meenakshi Mukherjee, writers like Meenakshi Mukherjee and Nizam Ezekiel, Nissim, Nissim, Ezekiel, Nizam Ezekiel called their anthology of translations from Indian languages, called their anthology of translations from Indian languages into English
I'm called their anthology.
of translations from Indian languages into English, another India. They call it another India. Here comes the question of diaspora, you know. They called it another India, but the whole
Ma'am, Indian language. Ma'am, Indian language
languages, languages
and languages
into English,
into English.
another India. within single inverted comma, another India.
Another India.
Okay, now listen to me. Another India or other India, these are the second name to the originally written text of India, which is translated into English literature. So Nizam Ezekiel and Meenakshi Mukherjee, they call it another India. So the idea of reading Indian literature in translation is to understand the various linguistic culture that constitute our nation. But we should not think that they are the only thing that we should learn. By translating regional languages into the English scripts or say English language, it is not only to expose our culture, it is also to show your excellence in creating books in English. So the slogan of Nehru was India has unity in diversity. That is reflected in the various writings of Indian writers and they are translated into English. But now question is, what is Indianness? Why it is Indian writer? Why it is Indian English? All these things come when we try to find out what is Indianness in literature. See, when I am saying these words, you just make a single paragraph. Write down Indianness in literature. Search for Indianness. That is according to your syllabus. Indianness in literature. What is Indianness? Who can tell me? Who can explain what is Indianness?
Expressing our culture, tradition of India through their literature.
It is not expressing, it is discovering or finding. We find Indianness in what is Indianness in our topic or our books. Others will find, yes, this is India. If you just I'm taking 2-3 minutes from you, in a famous poem called Westland, T.S. Eliot, the famous British poet, he has written about Ganga, and he has used the scriptures of Veda. And he's a famous poet in English literature who has written 4 epic poems like Ash Wednesday, Westland, Hollow Men, and Four Quatrains. He is an awarded poet, but he has referred to the Ganges or Ganga, which is our pious river. We honor her, we worship her, and that is reflected in the British writing of T.S. Eliot. So, what is that? That is Indianness of T.S. Eliot. What is there in our text? Our text should always emphatically portray, expose, write, and discover and spread in the world that this is the rich Indian heritage, that is Indianness in literature. Now, Indianness can be defined, write down. Indianness can be defined as the original Indianness can be defined as the original cultural milestones which is followed worldwide in order to make the work branded as Indian.
Ma'am, which is followed worldwide.
In order to make the work branded as Indian. A historian and critic called K.M. George.
Make the world.
What?
Make the work
Make the
branded.
work a brand. Branded as Indian or a brand of India. Branded as Indian. So anybody would read that book, he will see or he will feel, he will realize, he will understand, he will discover that yes, this is written from India or this is an Indian story. Understood? That is Indianness. So the reader will find the greatness of India in the text. That is Indianness. In short, write down, in short, the reader of the world or the universal readers would find the text to be truly Indian or originally Indian by reading that book, by reading that or by discovering that. So whatever, now you understood what is Indianness. That boy said, what is Indianness? He explained it. To expose the culture, to popularize our system of
Ma'am,
society.
originally Indian. After that,
Read the sentence, I forgot, I'm talking from my mind, I'm not following any book.
truly Indian or originally Indian?
That's all. That's all. Stop. Stop. So K.M.
Originally
George,
in
yes, originally Indian. So K.M. George, a historian come critic.
AN, ma'am, the name, please.
K.M. M for mango, K.M. George,
Okay.
historian and literary critic. That he says that, don't write, listen to me. He says that India is full of many languages. You know, if you go to any other Western countries, you will find only one language. What is that? Basically,
English.
English. Now, English is no more a language of England. It is the window over the world. It is the international language. It is the language of office all over the world. But there are also foreign languages like French and Spanish and other languages of other countries. But English has been accepted widely, universally, as the only language of interaction or say communication or say understanding. Understood? So here in India, you have a number of languages. If you belong to Haryana, then that dialect or that regional language is different from the person who is in Calcutta, isn't it? Completely different. So
Ma'am,
the
are you
basic
talking about the accent of speaking? Matlab,
no, no, no,
a
no, it's
different
not
kind of.
about the no, it's not about the accent. I'm talking about the literary heritage of different states which has produced or which helps in producing different linguistic excellence books. Understood? This is not the question. In
No, ma'am.
linguistics,
Can you please elaborate? I'm not able to understand this linguistic thing, ma'am. Please elaborate.
no, it is not a question of linguistic. I'm talking about the language accent only because of difference of pronunciation. But here it is not that. You will find the writings of Bengali will definitely focus the heritage of Bengal. The writings of Haryana, say Punjab, they will also focus the writings of Punjab. These are all regional text. Now you got my point. It's not about the accent.
Yes, ma'am.
Accent is
The various regions of India, they reflect the various culture in their literature, right, ma'am?
that's it. That's it.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Understood. Okay, ma'am.
It is not a question of accent. Accent comes in phonetics. Now how we speak a particular language, and there is no particular language in different states of India. So Kim George compares the Indian literature in one lamp. He says, inverted comma begins. He says Indian literature is the sum total of the literatures Indian literature is the sum total of literatures produced in the Indian languages, produced in the Indian languages, comma, modern and classical. Modern and classical commands. So he says that there are two types of literature in India. They are modern
Ma'am,
and
ma'am, what
also
you said about modern and classical?
sum total. Indian literature is the sum total of the literatures produced in the Indian languages, modern and classical. The category is modern and classical. Modern is 19th century, 20th century literature, and classical is 14th century, 15th century literature. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So he says the total literature of India can be divided into two parts. Here he is not talking of different languages. He is not giving emphasis on different languages. He says how are they? Either they are modern or they are classical. And these two categories, modern and classical, they are divided into two parts basing on the time. If it is recent, then it is modern. If it is ancient, then it is classical. Classical also means not only ancient, it should be of a high value. So not only ordinary writings cannot be treated as classical writings. Classicals are antique writings of excellent quality. Understood? So King George says that the political identity of India is not responsible or determinant of creating literature. Literature is the mark, the Gitanjali of Rabindranath Tagore. Where was he born? Where was Rabindranath Tagore born, or
Ma'am,
he belongs
West
to which
Bengal.
state?
Ma'am, West Bengal,
West
Kolkata,
Bengal.
West Bengal.
Yes,
And he is the
Kolkata.
first Indian to get Nobel Prize in Literature.
Oh, very good. See, his Gitanjali was so nice. Primarily, it was written in Bengali. And everybody attempted to translate it into English. And nobody could do it successfully. If you want, you can read the text of Gitanjali and the history of Gitanjali's writing, the themes, the morals, the ideology he persists. He wants to instill the poem with the ideology. It could not be translated successfully by anyone. Finally, he himself translated it and gave it to the world. Now, Gitanjali is there in many in almost all the countries. It is read as a text, as a compulsory text. But he belongs to Kolkata. His text is world famous. So, what is Indianness there?
The culture of India, the diverse culture of India reflected through writings and literature of a writer, great writer like Rabindranath Tagore.
Yes. So he says that now we came to be very clear that the Indianness is understood from the text that is written by Indian writers, be it regional, be it national. But now these regional writers, they are getting sufficient estimate in their society, and they have been treated as esteemed writers, though they belong to any region, but they have been awarded or they are being awarded as writers of classic quality. Understood? So, this Bharat Varsha, he says, this Bharat Varsha or this India is less territorial, but more spiritual. Less territorial means we don't care for the geographical boundary. It is more spiritual. We know that we are only Indian. Indian or India is our motherland. We don't say Kolkata is our motherland or Odisha is our motherland or Bombay is our mother. No, we are Indian. So, and we belong to a country
Ma'am,
where
sorry to interrupt, your voice is
there is a
breaking.
100%,
Yes, ma'am, your
100%
voice is
trust on God.
breaking.
And so India was, it is breaking. I can hear you clearly. Now can you hear me? Even I have switched off the fan only.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it all
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Is it all right?
Clearer.
I don't know, but I can hear
Yes,
you
ma'am. Now,
clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it
Now it is
audible?
clear.
Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So King George says that the writings should not be territorial, rather they should be spiritual and national, and there should be vision in the text. Vision means, what is vision? What we see.
the aim of
Ma'am,
writing the text should
objective.
be clear.
Ma'am, vision means what we see, we don't see through our eyes, we see it through our mind.
Through our wisdom, we
Yeah.
foresee. Not only we see, we foresee. See, we can say Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a visionary. Gandhi was a visionary. What is it? That means they had the idea of another 35, 30, 40 years ahead. What would happen? That is called vision. So the literature should have some vision. The text should give some idea to the readers, to the, if it is a drama, to the audience or to the readers, that what is great, which is going to happen, which is not imagined by ordinary people, is imagined by the excellent writers. And India is full of such writings. Understood? So that is called, it should have some vision and it should be spiritual. It should not be territorial. It should not be confined to territory. I will write for my state. No. Or you will write for your state. No. You should write for the total community, total society, total mass of India. That is called the universality, and it should not be territorial. They may be heterogeneous in character. Heterogeneous means various, varied. They may be heterogeneous in character, but the whole purpose is homogeneity, or the whole purpose is our India is great. There should be enough patriotism to honor the culture, the historical and geographical background, and also the literature, classicism of literature, and the history. All these things should be there in the theme as the ideology of a country. Understood? Understood or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, on the whole, I meant to say that any writing, please write down. On the whole, any writing of any region, should purposefully focus at any writing of any region should purposefully focus at the nationality or the nationalism, historical heritage, spiritualism, and excellent background of a particular state or region.
Ma'am, excellent background of
A particular region or state. Particular region or state. And first is, and in India, literature is as old as sculpture. When we had sculpture or inscriptions in the cave, from that time there was also literature. And there was a time when literature or stories were written on palm leaves. That was also literature of India. Be it painting, be it music, be it drama, novel, poem, whatever it is very old. And the cultural heritage of literature in India is as old as the sculpture or painting or music, which has not received historical attention in the way that these others have. Music, painting, they have got many social esteem, but literature has not yet got that standard, or people don't run after discovering the originality of Indian literature till date. It is also, there are some part which are not yet discovered. So we must want to discover the common literary past Indian languages in order to be able to establish the understanding of contemporary Indian literature and compare it with the ancient Indian literature. What is the Indian literature today? You have many writers. There is a special paper of study Indian English literature, and in that we have Bikram Seth, Arundhati Ray, D.S. Naipal, Chetan Bhagat, and so many, R.K. Narayan, and so many. So they are the writers of this modern time, but there are also ancient Indian literature writers. And if we say that ancient Indian literature Then we directly go to Bhakti movement and the text of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana and Mahabharata, they have remained the mainstay of our epic tradition, traveling across the subcontinent and manifesting themselves in established literary tradition as well as folk tradition. You know what is folk tradition? Folk dance, folklore. What is it?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it is basically belongs to a particular region.
What is folk?
Ma'am,
Every
people.
state has a capital. Yes.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Particular region.
Region,
Yes, ma'am.
especially
Particular region people.
particular region, but sometimes it is not in the city. Folk is always connected with rural area. Understood? And they are the mark of identity. They are the asmita of that particular state. And you cannot distinguish suddenly what is the value of this rich culture in Tamil or Kannada or Bengali or Odia. In every language, the story of Rama and Mahabharata is replete, and many writers they have devoted their times, they have devoted their writing power in creating books like dramas. You might have seen Ramayana in the television of Ramanand Sagar, very old. It is dramatized and picturized only to make the total India aware about the religiousness of the text. The epic of Ramayana and the epic of Mahabharata, they stand as our backbone of literary heritage. Understood? Ramayana and Mahabharata. The Bhakti movement, that is the central writing which reflected in Ramayana and Mahabharata. And also, of course, there are other regional religions like Shaivism, Vaishnavism, and they had certain Sanskrit literature.
Ma'am, your voice is again
That
breaking,
was
ma'am.
not so much popular,
Ma'am, your
but the
voice
way
is
Ramayana and
breaking.
Mahabharata came to be
Ma'am, your
focused,
voice is breaking.
I'm sorry.
Also, ma'am, I have a doubt. Can I ask
What
a
can
question,
I
ma'am?
do?
Ma'am, Shaivism and Vaishnavism,
Yeah,
are
yeah,
they
you're welcome.
ancient than the Ramayana and Mahabharata? Like, if we talk about the ancient Indian literature, we have the epic mythology and written proof of Mahabharata and Ramayana. But the writers who have written about the Shaivism and Vaishnavism, they have also given their piece of mind about that culture, Shaivism and Vaishnavism. But which one is more ancient from the time point of view? I wanted to know.
No, no. If they are not connected, Shaivism is a religious sect. Vaishnavism is a religious sect. You know, we have many strong. India is a secular state. We believe many religions, and they are like that. But Ramayana and Mahabharata are the ancient texts, ancient epics, which is followed by almost many religions. And there are also stories in Shaivism and also in that is written in Tamil, and this shows Tamil culture. But that is also written in Sanskrit, which shows Sanskrit literature. So the stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, I mean to say, is that there are many languages. They are replete with the stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata. The character of Draupadi of Mahabharata is written by many literary figures, but Shaivism is a concept, is a religious genre. It is a different sect of religion. Understood? It is not connected with Ramayana and Mahabharata. What I mean to
Yes,
say
ma'am,
is,
understood.
yes, how antique are they? Our literature is antique. Shaivism, they have also some writings by Tamil writers. That is also literature. When we go back to ancient literature, these come into our consideration. Even Upanishadic heritage, the Vedas. Do you know what are the Vedas?
There are four Vedas, ma'am.
What are they?
Rig Ved, Yajurved, Samved, Atharved.
Yes. Veda also is regarded as the ancient literature of India. The most ancient literature is Veda. Vedic and Upanishad also another literary text We can call these are the ethics of society which we follow till today, the Veda and the Upanishad, and they have the heritage of India. The Rigvedic poetry is the oldest part of the Vedas. Rig Veda is the first of all, and it is the most ancient. This discusses about the rituals we follow in our society on different occasions. Understood? This is also the cultural, what we can say, this is the lighthouse of Indian antique culture, the Vedas. And we follow many things till today from the stories of the Veda and the rules. Vedas are rules or norms how to conduct different events in society. Like, in Brahminism, uh, say thread ceremony, marriages, and funeral rituals, they are conducted as per Veda. So these are the basical imbibing ethics which are followed by many. Many means almost all Indians. These Rigved and Samved, what are the two? Atharva and
Atharved, Yajurved.
Yajurveda.
Yajurved. So Jawaharlal Nehru says that in Ramayana and Mahabharata, there is a mixture of philosophy, tradition, history, myth, and legend. So, the ancient
And
literature
can
of
you
India.
please repeat what Nehruji says about the Ramayana and Mahabharata? Because I'm noting
Listen
it
to
down,
me
please.
attentively. Please listen to me attentively what I'm saying. Nehru said that not about Ramayana and Mahabharata. Nehru said that the cultural background of India, it includes what? It includes a mixture of popular philosophy, tradition, history, myth, and legend. What is myth?
Something which is not believed to be true, but it's just a belief of a person.
It
It's
is not
just a
believed
belief.
to. It is just a belief, but it refers to the mythological writings also. We don't know who was Ram. We don't know who was Duryodhan. But we believe
Means
that
it
they
is
existed.
imaginary belief.
Yes, they are imaginary characters who are believed to be alive or they were there. That is, he says that there is not a single text in Indian literature which does not reflect the mixture of popular philosophy, tradition, history, myth, and legend. So we follow the story, and that the Ramayana and Mahabharata, in popular translations and paraphrases, were widely known among the masses, and every incident and story and moral in them was engraved on the popular mind and gave a richness and content of it. So again, he says that Nehru says that not only Vedas, don't write, not only Vedas, the Ramayana and Mahabharata, they were also very popular texts which opened different um, paths for discussion, for discovery, for rewriting, for analysis, and for everything. And that the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, if you want, you can take down that the Ramayana and Mahabharata, inverted comma begins, in popular translations and paraphrases. In popular translations and paraphrases, paraphrase, to make the prose of a poem.
And please tell what is
Paraphrase.
a paraphrase.
Paraphrase. Paraphrase
Excuse me, ma'am. What is paraphrase?
means to make a prose or interpret the poems into prose. Or remodel it into prose.
Okay.
When you write the answers of a big poem, we see the notes, no? It is done in prose lines. That is called paraphrasing.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
In Ramayana and Mahabharata, in popular translation and paraphrases, translation is we change it into another language. Paraphrase means we analyze them in prose order or in sentences. Understood? Were widely known
Yes, ma'am.
among the masses, were widely known among the masses, and every incident and story every incident and story and moral in them, and moral in them, excuse me, and moral in them finished, and moral in them are ever popular, and it is there in the mind, it is engraved in the mind, engraved in the mind, and gave richness, and gave a richness and content to it, gave a richness and content to it. The Ramayana and Mahabharata are interpreted as the foundation text. It is the foundation text of India in the sense that
Ma'am, the Ramayana and Mahabharata.
they are the foundation texts of India, which aims at holding which aims at holding the fundamental unity of India. Mahabharata is the longest epic,
Ma'am, holding the
fundamental unity of India. Fundamental unity of India. The Mahabharata is the longest epic in the world. And is the rich source of early philosophy, political thought, religious belief, social structure, myth, social structure, myths, and legends.
Ma'am, political thought. Then
Social structure, myth, and legend. Social structure, myth, and legend. In the 3rd century, there are also, now don't write. In the 3rd century, there are also some noted Sanskrit playwright like Bhasa, who had written the drama of Madhyama Bhayogam. There he describes some event of Mahabharata where Bhima meets Hidimba.
Ma'am, can you repeat the writer who wrote this again? And the
Bhasa.
text also?
I mean to say that apart from Ramayana and Mahabharata, there are also certain writings in Sanskrit which have the glories like Ramayana and Mahabharata, and the book's name is the writer is Bhasa, and the Bhasa, Bhasa, Bhasa belongs to 3rd century, wrote 6 plays, namely These are all Sanskrit plays, so please mind the spellings. Namely, Madhyama Bhyayogam. Madhyama Bhyayogam. MADHYA MABYAYOGAM. The story is of Bhima with Hidimba. Bhima reunited with Hidimba and son.
Ma'am, in Madhyama Bhaya Yoga, the play mentions uh, Bhim and Hidimba, right? When Bhim married Hidimba and everything, Ghatotkacha, right?
Bhima united with Hidimba and its son.
Okay. Yes, ma'am,
The
understood.
main theme is this. Okay. The next play is Dutavakyam. Dutavakyam. This tells us about Krishna's role. Krishna's role as messenger to Kaurava. What I mean to say is that how Mahabharata leads to the writing of again these dramas. Understood? This is a fundamental text to the Kauravas. Then Karnabharam, Karnabharam, Karnabharam. And the theme is Indra begging the gift of Karna's armor and earrings. The theme is
Indra doing what? Ma'am, Indra doing what?
Indra begging the gift of Karna's armor and earrings. So you need not mention all this in detail. This is all background studies. And in this blog, you have to do a lot of things. I'm just pointing out those important writers which have contributed a lot for the Indian classical literature. So this play is Karnabharam. In this play, Indra is asking for or begging the gift of Karna's armor and earrings. Armor and earrings. Armor, ARMOUR, and earrings.
Those are
Next,
known as Kabach Kundal.
yeah. Then Pankaratam. Pankaratam, PANCARATRAM. Pankaratam. Then Duta Ghatotkacham. And Urubhangam. These are also related to the events
Ma'am,
of
can you please repeat the sixth play after Doot Ghatotkacham, what you said?
this is
Guru
Urubhangam.
Bhangam.
Urubhangam. These are also all related to events of Mahabharata. Then we come to Kalidas. Okay. Kalidas had written, you might be
Ma'am,
knowing the name of
Meghdoot of Kalidas. Meghdoot.
Yes, Megadutam. Megadutam, Kumara
Meghdootam.
Sambhavam,
Yes, ma'am.
Abhigyana Sakuntalam, they are all Sanskrit. So they are also written on the, these are also classic texts of Kalidas. Megadutam, Kumara Sambhavam, and also Abhigyana Sakuntalam. Then we come to Middle Indian literature. There are many more, but we can't just discuss all this in detail. Then we come to Middle Indian time. In Middle Indian time also, there was the flourishing Malayalam poets or Malayalam literature. They also dealt with the theme of Ramayana and Mahabharata. And Ram Panikar, Sankara Panikar, there are some writers, Madhav Panikar, they also wrote a lot of books basing on Ramayana and Mahabharata, versions of Tamil versions of Ramayana and Mahabharata. And also, Madhav Panikar wrote a condensed Malayalam translation of Bhagavad Gita, one important book you can mention. Madhav Panikar wrote a condensed Malayalam translation of Bhagavad Gita, while Sankara Panikar composed the Bharatamala, a condensation of Mahabharatam, and Ram Panikar is considered to be the greatest of them and is the author of Ramayanam, Bharatam, Bhagavatam. So these are the literature which developed in Malayalam. And of course in Kannada there are also many writings, and in Malayalam also they discuss different avatars of Sri Krishna. And Ramayanam, Bharatam, Bhagavatam, you mentioned few books by, write down, Madhav Panikar of Malayalam literature wrote,
And can you repeat the name Madha Panikar? Like, I'm not
Panikar,
getting.
Panni, Panni, Madhav Panikar wrote a condensed Malayalam translation of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, while Sankar Panikar composed Bharatamala, Bharatamala, Bharathamala. So Shreyasi, are
Ma'am,
you,
while Shankar, sorry,
yes,
ma'am, what?
I was asking you, are you well versed with the stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata?
Ma'am, I am in page number 4 of Bhagavad Gita right now. From childhood, I have watched and I am familiar with the storyline, but now I'm reading in depth.
Oh, good, very good. So, Madhav Panikar wrote a condensed Malayalam translation of Bhagavad Gita, while Sankar Panikar composed the Bharathamala, Bharatha, Bharatha, Bharathamala, a condensation of Mahabharatam, a condensation of Mahabharatam. Ram Panikar also, Ram Panikar also wrote,
Ma'am, Ram Panikaram also a Malayalam writer.
yeah, they also wrote their Sankar Panikar, Ram Panikar, Madhav Panikar, all they belong to Malayalam literature. Ram Panikar also wrote or composed the versions of the Mahabharata and Ramayana. Different versions in Malayalam. Translated Ramayana and Mahabharata into Malayali. Different versions of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So with this, though there are certain other things to mention, apart from this, we have Bhakti movement, and there we can discuss. You can just read from the text about principles of Buddhism and Jainism, then the Brahminical system. All these they are there in Bhakti movement, which also discussed certain texts or wrote something about Ramayana and Mahabharata and the social codes of conduct. So this is the end of Unit 1, and I can give you some questions. Please write down 3-4 questions covering all. Question 1, define Indian literature. Define Indian literature. Who are the great writers of ancient India?
Ma'am, is it the second one?
Who are the great writers of ancient India? Question number three. How the Ramayana and Mahabharata are the fundamental texts?
Ma'am, what you said after, who are the great writers of ancient India?
How Ramayana and Mahabharata, question number three. How Ramayana and Mahabharata are the fundamental texts of Indian culture? I'm just having a break of 2 minutes to take a glass of water, okay?
Sure,
Sure,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Can anybody help me how Ramayana and Mahabharata? What was next?
I can also hear.
How Ramayana and Mahabharata are the
Just
fundamental
don't worry, I'll be
texts.
repeating the question, okay? Just wait for 2 minutes.
No, I was just repeating for someone. So,
How Ramayana and Mahabharata are fundamental texts.
texts of Indian
Thank you so
literature.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Are the fundamental texts of Indian literature, right?
Fundamental texts of Indian culture and
Okay.
social heritage. Then we come to
What heritage?
Culture
Indian
and
Social
heritage,
heritage.
heritage.
cultural
Indian culture
culture and Indian,
and heritage.
yes.
Okay.
Then we come to
Okay.
modern Indian literature. Okay, ancient is done. Now in modern Indian literature, we have different genres. The objectives of this part is that we will discuss how the Indian literature
Ma'am,
is.
Salvi, right?
No, I'm there.
Ma'am, now we have finished discussing the classical literature of India. Now we are
Now we
moving to the modern literature of India, right?
are modern, modern literature. You know, modern
Okay, ma'am.
literature of India, it has many genres, especially the novel, poetry, and drama. And modern literature, if you go to the historical timeline, go back to the historical timeline, it started in the 19th century with the advent of printing press, we journalism, and the writers, they always focused on the uh, first war of independence that happened in 1857. What is 1850? Why 1857 is famous for?
Revolt of 1857 against the Britishers.
Sipahi, bro.
What is the name of that war of independence?
Sipahi Bidroho.
India's,
Sipahi
yes,
Withdrawal.
Sepoy movement, Mangal Pandey. Yes, yes.
Absolutely, yes. Mangal Pandey, very good. Mangal Pandey, the Sipahi opened fire against General Dyer in the Barakpur unit, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Barakpur. Yes, ma'am.
That was the beginning of, yes, yes. That is the beginning of Indian war event, that bloody event. And that was followed by a number of events of bloodshed, which compelled the sleeping souls of Indians to stand up and write all patriotic literature. But before also, before 1857, there was language, there was prose and journalism. There was also a printing press and poetry, drama, novel, etc.
Your voice is breaking.
Yes, yes, yes. Any
Ma'am,
problem?
voice is
Ma'am, your
breaking,
voice is
ma'am.
breaking.
Sorry,
Ma'am,
I
your
can't
voice
do
is
anything.
breaking.
Not reaching you. I'm not audible.
Now
No.
you're audible, ma'am.
And
Yeah, ma'am, but
sometimes,
sometimes it's breaking.
sometimes it
In
happens
between, the
like
voice
this
is
Yes,
for
ma'am, but
cracking.
sometimes it's
this.
dropping.
So Indian literature is a is a weaving of a rich tapestry of values tapestry of values and aesthetics during earlier times. But when in 19th century, India, as all of you know, was in the bondage of British rule. It was captive under the British rulers, and there was a rare chance of writing freely, publishing them, spreading them. Though it is nationalist thought, it was very, very difficult to produce books. So in this part, concept of Indian literature, modern period, we will discuss the writings from 19th century. And there we will mention the introduction of printing press, which came into existence in 1713, and the that became the voice for the voiceless. I will give you a short story about British torture. If you have read the childhood topic of Jawaharlal Nehru, in which he mentions how what was the extent of torture of Indians in the hands of British Raj. What was that? Can anybody tell me? What do you know about the freedom struggle? Shreyasi,
Ma'am,
come on, answer.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the question, ma'am?
What do you know about the beginning of Indian freedom struggle? Or what was the extent of torture of British rule? Tell me.
Ma'am, the revolt of 1857 broke with a cartilage issue. The cartilage that was supplied that needed to be opened with the mouth. But it hurted the feelings and sentiments of both Hindus and
That
Muslims
was made of
because,
beef. That was made
yes,
of
ma'am,
cattle hide. Yes,
of both pig and cow. And
yes,
Mangal Pandey, since he was the first who united the sepoys of the Barakpur cantonment, and
yeah.
he was hanged by the Britishers for his action. And we can also conclude that the revolt of 1857 was a failure also because there was not unity among the different regions who revolted against the Britishers. Had this been a united way in which Indians they have united together to fight against the Britishers, we might have got rid of the Britishers sooner rather than staying in their captivity for more than 100 years, 200 years.
More than 200 years. 200 years.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
East Indian
Yes, ma'am.
Company
Yes,
was
ma'am.
established. Listen, the East India Company was established in 1600 and they continued to rule till 1947 officially. Okay. That was the span. That was a long span of torture, humiliation, bloodshed, which Indians suffered. But just after the 1857 Sepoy revolt, the Indians became vocal. They wanted to write. And in the year before that, in 1713, the printing press was there with the earnest favor of some English people like William Carey. And William Carey was the person from British government, British embassy, who encouraged a press, the setup of a press. And that helped many Indians who could speak out for the cause of the nation. And you know, in the history of mankind, this Indian War of Independence was unprecedented. And this is it is not only the War of Independence, the Indians could show the world that through non-violence they could also win. Though there was enough violence, enough bloodshed, enough torture, and enough humiliation, enough causes of partition, still then we call it War of Independence through non-violence because this was led by Gandhi. Now, soon after the 1857 issue, many writers wanted to write, but the language situation was not so convenient, and main language then was uh, Pali, Parsi, and also some other language like Persian, not Parsi, it's Persian, Arabic. They were prevalent. But Indian writers again tried to write in their language like Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Malayalam, Punjabi, Odia, Telugu, Sindhi, all these languages they used to create their rich literary culture by the beginning of this 19th century. So 1857 became the guiding event, the terminal event, the twist of the time in history, which made the Indians aroused to write. And these languages became very, very, what you can say, excited to come into existence by their writers, even Urdu. In that time, Urdu was very famous. Apart from these languages, Urdu was the leading pioneer language which were more used by writers, and it was very famous, very popular for Qawwali, Ghazal, and all this. Okay, so languages like soon after 1857 event of First War of Independence, languages, write down, soon after all of you, I request all of you, please stay till the fag end of the class. Don't leave. Number is reducing. Now it's 42. It was 53 something. 48. Please don't leave the class. Stay till the fag end. I enjoy this class because you are interacting with me. And Shreyasi is a good support for me and also a good question
Thank,
maker.
thank
Good.
you, ma'am. Thank.
So
Actually, I
let's
have a
keep on.
habit that, ma'am,
Have this.
until and unless the concept is clear, I keep on asking question, and I'm really sorry to.
Very good.
Uh,
No, not sorry. I welcome all your questions. So write down. Soon after the
yes,
event
ma'am.
of 1857, soon after the event of 1857, the Sepoy Mutiny, I'm very happy that you are well versed with the historical data.
Ma'am, this
Good.
credit goes to my mother. She's the
Oh, very,
foundation.
very good. So, soon after the event of 1857, the first war of independence, many languages, apart from the two dominant languages like Arabic and Persian,
Ma'am, aren't Arabic and Persian are branches of Urdu or vice versa?
the branches of Urdu, but if you listen to them, actually, I am not very thorough about their accent. But whatever I know, they belong to Urdu.
Okay, ma'am.
What I said?
Soon
What I
after
said,
the
can you
revolt
repeat?
of Yes, ma'am. Soon after the First War of Independence, the Sepoy Mutiny, many languages apart from Arabic and Persian, this
Many
much I have
languages,
written.
yes, apart from Arabic and Persian, comma, tried to establish their esteem in writing works of great significance, and Indian languages like Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Malayalam, Punjabi, Odia, Telugu, and Sindhi. They all wanted
After
to have.
SMEs, what after SMEs?
I can't hear you, beta. I can't hear you. Repeat, please.
After SMEs, what should we write?
Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Malayalam, Punjabi, Odia, Telugu, and Sindhi. All these languages, they also tried to uh, became tried to become the source of literary culture in the beginning of the 19th century. But Urdu was the crowning jewel. but Urdu was the crowning jewel at that time. In 1835, now
Urdu
here
was
comes the question, the jewel, the crowning jewel at that time. In 1835, the great Macaulay manuscripts came into existence with the initiation of Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Now listen, don't write, time is wasted, don't write. So in 1835, the great Macaulay
excuse
manuscripts
me, ma'am.
came, yes, tell me. Want to
Excuse
ask
me,
something?
ma'am.
Yes, you are excused, tell. You
Ma'am,
want to ask
actually, I have
something?
to leave the class as I have a meeting of a CBSE, so I have to leave the class. Just I want to ask that when is your next class so that I can attend that one. And
Tomorrow
one
I have
more
a
thing,
class. Tomorrow,
Ma'am,
6 to
same
8.
time.
uh,
Yeah, 6 to 8.
and one more thing, ma'am. When is our exam?
We have got
That
the
I will
date
let you
sheet.
know. Okay, I'll let you know. You might be contacting office, You have office number?
Yeah, that our
You can increase that from examination section. Still, I'll try to make it clear, okay? Within 2 days.
you, you should check that date sheet.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
okay,
I'll let you know.
I can
Okay.
forward the date sheet in the group. I can do that. I can forward the date sheet. I'll do that.
can you please add me in this group, MEG-14 group, and I have to leave this now.
Okay, no problem. See, whatever I'm doing there, you can do it by yourself. You are all PG students. You are not small kids. So I'm just guiding you. Okay? This is just counseling. You cannot fully depend on me. So you can read yourself. But thing is, one should be there to give proper guidance to the textual progress. Okay? Okay, you can go.
Okay, thank you,
So
ma'am.
Raja Rammohn Rai. Okay, welcome. Raja Rammohn Rai.
Ma'am, can I ask you something?
Please ask.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, after Kannada, Assamese, what we have to write?
What? In Assamese, those languages, Assamese,
Yes,
Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Malayalam, Punjabi, all these languages you have written, no?
yes, ma'am.
This, I mean to say that these languages became prominent in creating literary text apart from Parsi and Arabic. Before that, two dominant languages were there. They are Parsi and Arabic. But after this 1857 issues, these languages came into limelight. And many writers from belonging to these languages, they also wrote. Okay, nothing
Okay, ma'am.
important. Could you get it? So, in 1835, now listen, this is very important. 1835, there was an educational act by the British government, which is known as Macaulay Manutes. Bevington Macaulay, he made a study of the present scenario of India, how English could be given in the schools and colleges. So he passed this manutes that is famous as Macaulay Manutes 1835 or Education Act 1835, in which that was also initiated by our Indian ruler Raja Ram Mohan Rai, and in that act, sufficient emphasis was given for learning English, for learning English, and the total fund that was given from British government for education will no more be diverted towards learning Parsi and Sanskrit. Rather, all will be given for the learning of English. Now, you see how Indian people became capable of writing in English only due to this Macaulay Manutes. This Macaulay Manutes is the terminal act which made, or the act which twisted the desire of people of India to learn and express in English. And as English is a difficult subject, so it was very difficult for the common people to master it. And reading, writing, listening, speaking, understanding, comprehending, and expressing. was not within the reach of common people. So whose mic is on? Whose microphone is on? Please switch it off. I'm being disturbed. Yeah. So TB, Lord TB
Ma'am, your voice.
Ma'am, your voice is unaudible.
he brought
Ma'am,
this
your voice
act.
is not audible.
Now
Yes,
clear.
ma'am.
This is some technical problem. I'm helpless. I'm sitting near set-top box.
Okay, ma'am, now it's clear.
Okay. Now, apart from the establishment of printing press, there was journalism. And the recommendation of 1835 Education Act was to introduce English in schools and colleges, especially for higher education. English should be a compulsory subject. That was the recommendation. And many Indians got the opportunity to learn English. And many elite Indians from Kolkata, where the East Indian Company was there, they became the first beneficiary. They wanted that they should learn English first. So basically, Indian English literature developed from Kolkata itself. Now write a short note on Macaulay Manors. Write down in 1835. In 1835,
Ma'am, we need to
the famous Macaulay
write about
Manors.
Macaulay's minute right now. Like we need to write a
Very short note, 2 3 lines.
okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
very short note. In 1835, the Macaulay Manors came into existence with the help of Raja Ram Mohan Rai and Lord T.B. Macaulay. The act recommended
Ma'am, Raja Ramon was and
Lord T.B. Macaulay, Macaulay, and English was recommended to be a compulsory subject. English was recommended to be a compulsory subject in schools and colleges, and the total fund sanctioned for the education of Sanskrit and Parsi
Ma'am, what you said about after you said compulsory subject in schools and colleges. After that, you said something, right? What was it?
you couldn't hear.
No,
You
ma'am.
couldn't
Sorry.
hear. No, it's okay. I'm repeating. Total
Okay,
fund
ma'am.
sanctioned. Total fund fund sanctioned for Parsi and Sanskrit was directed to be diverted towards learning of English in schools and colleges. These 2 lines you remember. These are vital. Learning of English in
Towards
schools and
learning.
colleges. Of English in schools and colleges. As a result of which, Many writers, especially Bengali writers, first attempted to write in English. And prose and journalism, underline prose and journalism.
Ma'am, what you said after Bengali writers chose to write in English, and after that you said something. What was it?
Prose, full stop. Prose to, after that full stop, then you write. Then you write or remember, prose and journalism became the main mouth of the society. That focused,
Main mouth of
that focused mouth of the society, which focused literary and non-literary events. Literary and non-literary events. British civil servants, they also wanted to make the Indians aware. Better listen, huh? They also wanted to make the Indians aware about the English grammar, to speak English. In the first 30-40 years of 19th century, the attempt was made
In in order to speak English after that?
you are much behind, beta. Mm,
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
it's
In the
okay, but I forgot. No, I forgot the line. You ask Prayasi. Prayasi, where are you? Read out the
Ma'am,
last
I
line.
have written yes, ma'am. British civil servants wanted the Indians to be aware of the English grammar so that they can speak in English in order to. I'm there.
In order to
Yes, ma'am.
make, in order to make interaction in English more widespread. Apart from government effort, interaction in English more widespread. Apart from government effort, Christian missionaries also.
Ma'am, I'm really sorry to say your voice is breaking and echoing in between. So, yeah, I'm
Oh
facing
God,
difficulty in
somebody's
writing.
mic might be on.
no, ma'am.
Somebody's
Even
mic.
nine. No, no, your voice is fading away
Might
in
be on.
between. So able to understand. We
If
lose
one
that.
mic will be on, then there will be echo.
Ma'am, I think you should leave and join once
Okay
again.
now. Am I okay now? Am
Yes,
I
ma'am.
okay?
Now you are.
Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
apart from government efforts, Christian missionaries also. Christian missionaries also wanted to make English popularized, and prose became the chief pedagogical tool in language education. And
Wanted to
prose
make
became
English popular.
prose became no more poetry. Prose became the chief pedagogical tool. Pedagogical, Pedagogical, pedagogical tool in language education. And so there was the demand of textbooks in English. also there was the demand of textbooks in English. Got Sriyasri?
Yes.
Yes. Since there was emergence of prose writing, many writers they tried to write books like stories, like novels, and novel became the prime genre. In that time, the most important form of literature was novel. Now, what is a novel? Who can tell me? Tell me from your common sense. You might have read many novels, right from Milton Boons to Chetan Bhagat. Tell me, how do you feel what novel is? Tell me. Shreyasi, come on. Yes,
I'm framing words, ma'am. Novel is a journal or a book that has been written by an author using his imaginative skills to present a storyline in a way which involves all the six elements of tragedies that has been discussed by Aristotle.
in novel, tragedy is not mandatory, beta. It is
It
only
is not
confined
mandatory, but the
novel. You
storyline,
know,
mythos and ethos, I'm talking only about the mythos and ethos that are very much essential for framing a novel, the plot and the characters.
plot and the character. Nothing else. Then have conflict. If there is no challenge, if there is no controversy, then how the progress of the plot will be there? Conflict is always there, no? In both in drama and novel. What is novel? Novel we read, drama we see.
It's
Apart from dialogue and action.
a long
Yes,
story with all the four
long
elements of
story.
the story, like a setting, character, problem, and a solution.
Problem solution. How do you know what is the
Novel
definition
has
of
to
the
be
plot?
fictional, ma'am. Like the characters and the storyline, the author is free to explore and add his own imaginations to the novel. We can never say that a novel is, it can be influenced from a real life event, but they can be very immensely related to them. It's an imagination of the author who has written the novel.
Yes. Novel, the story, what is the difference between short story and novel? Short story is a story which is short, based on fact. The length of the short story is hardly 10 pages. Understood? But a novel is a story which is largely imaginary. You are correct at that point. It is largely imaginary, but like a drama, it has all these four characteristics. What are they? The plot, characters, conflict, and what?
Solution.
Settlement or end or solution. What sort of solution? All
Can
novels
you
are not
repeat all the
tragic.
four characters of the novel once again, ma'am?
These are the elements, right, ma'am? Elements of a
Elements, yeah, elements of novel.
Characteristics, not characters. Characteristics or features of a novel as a genre. Basically, novel is a story which is largely imaginary and it is the best prose writing which attracts the audience for longer because people continue to wait for the end. And basically, novel was written for leisure time. Now, novel is educative. Novels like Three Idiots, I mean Chetan Bhagat's Five Point Someone, like R.K. Narayan's Vendor of Sweets, they're all educative novels. They are not meant for leisure time novel, like Milton Bones. So, novel is basically a genre which is a story, largely imaginary, has certain characteristics like plot, characters, conflict, and solution. These are the four main characteristics. It is almost like drama. Only drama we have added action and dialogue. Apart from that, novel is the same. Understood? So during that time, in after the 1857, the novel was written, and in Bengali, many novels were written. Alaler Ghorer Dulal. Alaler Ghorer Dulal. Understood? It was written by Pari Chand Mitro first in 1814. Pari Chand Mitro, that was written in English, that was written in Bengali. Then gradually Bankim Chandra Chatterjee also wrote a book.
Rajmohan's wife.
Rajmohan's
Rajmohan's
wife,
wife.
ma'am. Rajmohan's
First
wife.
first novel
Along
written in English.
what? In Indian English.
Yes, ma'am.
That is what
Rajmohan's wife.
Rajmohan's wife. In the year 1864. Who has written that?
Bankim
Ma'am,
Chandra Chatterjee, also the composer
Bankim
of Vande
Chandra.
Why
Mataram.
Bankim Chandra is famous?
Vande Mataram, ma'am. Vande Mataram.
Oh, yes.
Vande Mataram, ma'am.
For Vande Mataram song. When because the context was Indian independence, no, this was the patriotic song written by him, and he popularized historical romances and also wrote many novels. Apart from patriotic, he also wrote uh, social romance, social novels, romantic novels, and Rabindranath Tagore also wrote historical novel, Bau Thakuranir Heart, Bau Thakuranir Heart, 1883.
Is is this a novel written by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, ma'am?
He too started with the historical novel. Yes, it's a historical novel.
Okay.
Do you belong to Kolkata? Seriously?
Yes, no, ma'am. I am born and brought up in Madhya Pradesh, but I am a Kolkata. I'm a Bengali by heart.
Oh, that's why you know Gurudev. You said Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. I enjoyed
My
it.
mother, yes, thank you, ma'am. My mother is a teacher and she makes sure she spreads the essence of Bengali literature in her school. So I am brought up in that way.
So you address like Gurudev. No, we only read out the name, but you honored
Yeah,
him.
ma'am, in 2016, one of his friend of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, I don't recall the name, he made sure that whenever Rabindranath Tagore names is spoken by someone, it should be Gurudev. In 2016, this title was given to
Yeah,
him
yeah,
on his
you opened my
birthday.
eyes. You opened my eyes. Thank you for that. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
In Telugu, the novel was written Rangaraja Charitra by Gopala Krishna Chetty. Rangaraja Charitra, it was written in 1872 by Gopal Chandra Chetty. Gopal Krishnamma Chetty. Gopala Krishnamma Chetty. Understood? That was written. So many novels came into existence
Ma'am,
in
who is the author of Ranga Raja Charitra? Can you repeat the name of the author?
Gopala Krishnamma Chetty. Telugu. Gopala Krishnamma Chetty. Right down.
Ma'am, your voice is again echoing and breaking.
PLA Krishnamma.
Ma'am, you're not
Krishnamma.
audible.
Chetty. How can I help it? I'm hanging the face just to the laptop. Okay. Okay. Now, the Rangaraja Charita is written by Gopala Krishnamma, Krishna Krishnamma Chetty. This was written as a prose epic to reflect the custom and convention of Telugu society. See, I told you from the very beginning that all the regional writings, they speak of their own culture. Understood? So here also, he is talking about his own culture, like the society and customs and conventions of Telugu society. The author criticizes the caste system and the Hindu conventions. Understood? So this is in Tamil also. Pratap Mudaliar Charitram by Samuel Bendanayakam Pillai, Bendalayakam Pillai in the year 1826. Tamil novel. Pratapa Mudaliar Charitram by Bendalayakam Pillai. Should I tell the name again? The first novel in Hindi was Pariksha Guru. The first novel in Hindi was Pariksha Guru, written by Srinivas Das, 1850. First novel was in Hindi, Pariksha Guru, written by Srinivas Das. And in Punjabi,
Ma'am, can you
in
please
that book,
repeat? Ma'am, I'm really sorry. Can you please repeat the first Hindi novel?
Pariksha
Pariksha,
Guru, Pariksha Guru,
written by?
written by Srinivas Das in the year 1850,
Thank you, ma'am.
but published in 1882.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, I got it. 1852, right?
1882.
Okay, ma'am.
Written in 1850, published in 1882. And this tells us about the story of a middle class trader and the trading community about generation gap. What is generation gap? Who can tell me?
Like mother and daughter generation gap when the offspring is born from matlab generation, like when we say that I am a mother of my daughter, then my daughter and me will have a generation gap in between us.
That is not only the generation of time. Generation gap is of ideology. Modern people don't understand the feelings of ancient people. Ancient people are also not able to cooperate with the modern people due to their strict social imbibements or the ideas they had. So that is called generation gap, where there is no bridging of understanding, no communication, and no proper understanding of the new people. New people are modern people, old people are parents. You can go to any house, you can find the generation gap very clearly. Understood? That is called generation
Cla-
gap.
Clash of thoughts, clash of thoughts.
It's a clash of thoughts, confrontation of ideology, all this. So, this was
Yes.
a middle class trader and is a realistic novel in the trading community about generation gap. In Kannada also, the first novel was
Ma'am,
in
your voice is
1890.
breaking. Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
In Kannada also, the first novel was written in 1892. That was a historical novel, Suryakanta. The novel is Suryakanta, written by Lakshmana Rao Gadkar. And in Punjabi, the first novel was Sundari.
Who was the
The first
writer?
novel in Punjabi, the first novel was Sundari, written
Yes.
by Bhai Bir Singh. Bhai Bir Singh. Bir Singh.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So, but after this novel writing, we will come to poetry. And poetry, spontaneous overflow, powerful feelings. Who said this?
Ma'am, Wordsworth.
Very good. So you had English honors?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. What else he had said about poetry?
Ma'am, recollected in tranquility.
Not tranquility. Poetry is the emotion
Tranquility,
recollected
tranquility.
tranquility. Okay. So in 1820,
Yes, ma'am.
the Gujarati poet he wrote Dalapatram. Dalpatram. Dalpatram describing modern lifestyle about the new urban world. And also his first poem was Bapani Pipar. Bapani Pipar. Bapani Bipr. Pipr. It was written in 1845. So now Shreyas will be very happy to know that if Indian English poetry from Bengal was the first to react to Western poetry and thought, with that even in Bengali, tradition continued to rule poetry. So Bengali people, they became very challenging in writing to English Western poetry. They were challenges for Western poetry. And we see also that Bengali tradition continued to rule poetry. The first modern poet of note in Bengali was Michael Madhusudan Dutt. Very important. Underline.
Man, man, Michael Madhusudan Datta was prior to Toru Dutt, or they belong to same?
No information about Toru Dutt is here. Only Michael Madhusudan Dutt, 1824.
Man, Henry Vivian Louis Derozio, who started writing poetry and he wrote poetry without any title. He was an Anglo-Indian, but he was like from Portugal or from where he belonged. The first
I
English poet of India.
no first English poet, modern poet is Michael Madhusudan Das, so far as history is concerned. Understood?
Okay, ma'am.
The first
Understood.
Ma'am,
Yes,
first
ma'am.
he wrote in English.
yes,
Ma'am, first he wrote
True.
in English
True.
and then he started writing in Bengali again.
Yes, ma'am. So that he can show his respect to his mother tongue.
Yes, ma'am.
Michael Madhusudan Dutt wrote his first poem in Bengali, and that was Tilottama Sambhava Kabya.
Ma'am, can you
Tilottama
spell that? Spell that.
Tilottama.
Tillo Tilo Titti Tilo Titti Masam Bhab Tilottama Sambhava Kabya. This poem was a marker of new literary era in Bengali. This poem was a marker of a new literary era in Bengali, and he also wrote uh, Biragana Kabya, Biragana, and also sonnets.
Branjangana.
Actually,
Brajangana,
ma'am,
Brangana, so this is a printing error. Brajangana, Brajangana Kabya. You said Brajangana, no?
Yes, ma'am. It's Brajangana. It's written in
Love lyrics.
book.
These are love lyrics. Brajangana Kabya in 1861. And also he wrote sonnets. Chaturdasa
Ma- Ma'am, it's Virangana or Brajangana Kavya?
Brajangana. B. Brajangana. Braja is B-R-A-J-A. B-R-A-J-A. Nangana. N-A-G-A-N-A. Brajangana. Kavya. 1861. Then he wrote a sonnet. Many sonnets. Chaturdasa Padi
ma'am,
Kavitavali.
actually, ma'am, Michael Madhusudan Datta, he was immensely inspired by William Shakespeare, and he tried to reflect his way of writing in his work.
Yes,
Is it?
ma'am. It is. Yes, ma'am. It is true.
Okay. Then good. So he had also Shakespeare had also written many sonnets. So he followed Shakespeare. And is he treated as Shakespeare of India? No. Kalidas is treated, no?
Sorry, ma'am, what?
Is he compared to Shakespeare in any
No,
way?
ma'am. I'm just saying he was inspired by Shakespeare, ma'am. When he started writing in English, he started writing in English because he was inspired by William Shakespeare's writing, his
Okay.
whatever plays and
Michael
everything he has
Madhusudan
written.
Dutt. Yes, yes. Michael Madhusudan Dutt. He
Yes, ma'am.
introduced, in his 6 year span of writing, a whole range of styles into Bengali poetry. The epic, the blank verse, you write down this. The contribution of Madhusudan Dutt to Bengali literature or Bengali poetry. The epic, blank verse, ode,
Ma'am,
heroic
can you
epic.
please a little slow? Can you little slow the names, ma'am? I'm not able to write.
Okay, Madhusudan Dutt introduced a whole range of styles into Bengali poetry. In that, in that, he remodeled the Bengali poetry by including the epic, quick please, the epic, blank verse, ode, ode, heroic couplets and epistles, and the sonnet. Now let's go to and the sonnet. In Hindi poetry, now listen to me. In Hindi poetry, there was Khariboli, a dialectical language for literary activity displacing Brajabhasa, and Bharatendu Harishchandra was the first who used this in Hindi poetry in the year 1850.
Which Harish Chandra, ma'am? Can you repeat the name once again?
Bharatendu Harishchandra, 1850. He contributed a lot in the Hindi poetry by using the language Khariboli. Khariboli, Khariboli. Then we come to Marathi poetry, and there are many poems, many poets like, say, Kesabasut, 1866. After that, we come to Odisha. Radhanath Rai was the most popular name for writing Odia poem, and his famous poem was Kedar Gauri, Chandrabhaga, Nandikeswari, etc. And also Mahajatra.
Ma'am, can you repeat the Oriya poet's name once again and his
Radhanath Rai,
compositions?
Radhanath Rai, 1948. His famous poem was Mahajatra, Chandrabhaga, Chandra, Chandrabhaga, and Nandikeswari. Then we come to drama. In the genre of drama, few names come in that time, and the first play to be discussed is Assamese Ram Navami by Gunabhiram Barua, 1837. Gunabhiram Barua, 1837. And this is all about widow marriage. See, all these texts, they were giving the messages of social change. This is all about widow remarriage. Gujarati writers like Dalapatram also wrote many plays under the influence of Urdu dramatic writing, and Parsi theatre was also again came into existence, and the plays like Prem Jogini of Bharatendu Harishchandra became the famous play of that time. And then we come to so many dramatists. I don't have time to call their names. Then we come to novel. Please read the drama history in detail if you have a test. Then we come to novel. Novel, first decade saw not only the continuing influence of English novelists, but also that of famous Bengali novelist, Rajanikanth Bordoloi, you might be knowing. Rajanikanth Bordoloi, 1868, first novel. We have also the names of Sarachandra Chatterjee, Gurudev Ravindranath Tagore, who are also famous writers of the time who wrote on phenomenal concepts. Okay. The other in the great Indian writers of the time, and the sentimental novels were also written by Gurudev Ravindranath Tagore and also Sarat Chandra. Sarat Chandra is a very popular writer, and most of his novels are picturized and dramatized in the television. You know, Sarat Chandra. Bada Didi, then Bharti, then Parinita, all these belong to Sarat Chandra's great achievement. Palli Samaj, Niskriti, all these. Then we come
Ma'am,
to
Pother
Premchand.
Pachali, that was directed by Satyajit Ray. It was written by Sharat
Yeah,
Chandra Chatterjee,
Pachali,
which
Sarat Chandra, that was written by Sarat Chandra.
Sure, but I just recalled Pother Pachali. I was Googling it actually.
Prashna, you Google. Okay.
Sorry, ma'am. It
And
was
many
written
other
by
novels.
I
Bibhuti
think it was
Chandra
Vibhuti
Upadhyay. I'm
Vishnu.
really sorry, ma'am.
Vibhuti
Vibhuti,
Vishnu.
yes, 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 it was. I'm really sorry.
No, if you Google at the same time, if you
It
Google
was
at the same
just,
time, you will
ma'am,
get
it
it.
was just flow of random thoughts while I was. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. From the mid 20th century onwards, the Bengali novels saw the birth of psychological realism and the stream of consciousness technique. What is the stream of consciousness? It's a consciousness technique. Who are in honors? Who were in honors? Please explain. Stream of consciousness novel. What is it?
Ma'am, can I explain?
Oh yeah. I asked, no?
Ma'am, I can say what is stream of consciousness.
I tell.
Ma'am, yes. Stream of
Ma'am, it
consciousness
was
is a technique of
ma'am, it was in James Joyce's novel The Portrait of the Artist.
Tell me what is stream of consciousness novel? How it is different
Ma'am,
from other
stream of
novels of dictionary?
consciousness is a technique of writing that conveys natural flow of characters, incomplete thoughts, and movements. It is raised in psychology prior to literature, and live examples who have used streams of consciousness in their writing are T.S. Eliot, Virginia Woolf. She is considered as a modern writer who has used stream of consciousness, and also there are Patrick White, the first Australian writer who got Nobel Prize for his creations. So all these authors they use stream of consciousness as a part and to make their writings more
Yes,
reflective
yes.
to the audience now.
You want to tell
Ma'am,
one
may
line
I say
about stream
something?
of
Ma'am,
consciousness
may I
novel?
something? Ma'am, may I say something?
Of course. Tell.
Ma'am, stream of conscious is an interior monologue. It is written in James Joyce's
You are
novel The
googling or
Portrait of the Artist.
are you all googling?
Yes, ma'am.
Are
Your
you
voice
googling
is
or
not
have you
audible,
remembered?
ma'am.
Have you remembered from honors class or have you?
Ma'am, I remember it. Ma'am,
Stream
I
of
remember it.
okay, okay, good. Stream of consciousness novel is an introspective novel. Understood? Where the
Yes, ma'am.
character's mind is not open. His activities are open, but he thinks in his own mind, and it is mostly imaginary. Understood? The mind of the main character. Introspective novel. Okay. Now we'll come to conclude. When you have a lot of things about comparative studies, I am unable to complete. So, question, what is comparative literature? If I get time, I will repeat this tomorrow. Okay. What is comparative literature? What is comparative studies in Indian literature? What is the role of translation in the development of Indian literature in various languages?
Ma'am, the second question is?
What is role of translation in the development of Indian literature in various languages? Okay, we meet tomorrow.
Ma'am, same
Ma'am,
time.
can you repeat the questions? I haven't written the questions. Will you be repeating the questions tomorrow, ma'am?
Yes, before I start sanskara, I will do something about this, then I will go to sanskar. Okay,
Ma'am,
don't worry.
same time. Ma'am, same time.
Yeah,
6 to
yeah,
8.
same time,
Six
same
to
time,
eight.
same time.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Take you, see you very soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.